Hello everyone, this is Mr. Mark with the Tawny Town Library, and I'm here today to show you how to make a really cool pumpkin book art. And you can use hardback or paperback, it's your choice. I'm going to be using a hardback here today. The important thing is that you want it to be at least 300 pages long. You just need to make sure you remove the covers. For a paperback, you just need to take off the front and back cover, but for a hardback, you're going to have to actually tear the cover off, like I'm doing here. And it's not that difficult, but it requires a little bit of strength. Then now we have the cover off, and I tore the first page there, so I'll be removing that as well. We're pretty much ready to get started. Like I said, you want to make sure your book is at least 300 pages. It can be more, it can be as many more as you want, but of course the longer it is, the more you're going to have to cut. So you don't want to do too much. And I'm just going to grab a pencil here and I'm going to draw the shape of half a pumpkin on here. It doesn't have to be very good. You can see my drawing is not exactly precise. It's basically just an oval. And I'm going to be showing you how to make a pumpkin today, but you can actually make any round fruit with this. The important part is that it's a round symmetrical fruit. What we're going to do now is we're going to just take a grouping of 5 to 7 pages and we're going to cut along the outline we just drew with these 5 to 7 pages. It's important that you don't go more than 7 because at that point it starts to be hard to cut through and it'll leave rough edges and you might not get it all the way to the spine. But you don't really want to do less than 5 just because it will make it take forever. Our pages are cut and all we're going to do is take our pencil, trace over the pages we just cut out and repeat the cutting. Take 5 to 7 pages, cut just along the inside of the line. You're going to have to go against many years of schooling on this in that you do not want to cut on the line. You want to cut inside the line. Otherwise, your shape is going to get a little bit bigger each time, and the final pages will be significantly larger than the first ones. So you just fix that by going just a tiny bit inside the page. And you can see I've done another 7 pages. And I'm going to grab that pencil and I'm going to start tracing again. And this is really all I'm doing for all the next pages in the book. So we're going to be speeding through this now because there's no need to see that in real time. So we're just going to zoom through this as much as we can, but I am going to just say a few notes while we're doing this before moving on. One is that you'll notice that when I get to the very end and I'm removing the cut off portions of the pages, I'm really making sure to peel the little bit of spine that they're attached to off with them. I do recommend doing this. It makes it easier in the end. Otherwise, when you're done, if you just tear the pages off the spine, you'll have little bits of spine sticking up and down, and then you're going to have to cut those off, and it can be a little bit difficult getting those close enough to the pages. It's not a big deal. You can certainly do it that way if it's easier for you, but I just find it's a little bit cleaner and simpler to make sure when you're removing the pages to get that spine as well. I will note this is a great time to find something to do while you're doing your cutting. Watch a TV show, listen to an audiobook, just something to pass the time. But another note is that you'll notice I do occasionally check my cut pages to make sure that I'm maintaining approximately the same size and shape and that it's not drifting over time. This just takes a second to do, and it's useful just to make sure you're not accidentally starting to cut too low or too high and make a non-symmetrical pumpkin because they don't sit as well. And all the pages for my pumpkin are finally cut. About 370 pages. From here, it's really simple. We're just going to fold it out so that the very front and the very back pages connect. And we're going to be gluing them together. Let's get to that gluing. So at home, you can use any type of craft glue. I'm going to be using hot glue because it dries very quickly. And it works really well if you happen to have a hot glue at home, but if you don't, you can use any type of craft glue. And all we're going to be doing here is covering the front and back pages entirely and pulling them together. And then I also like to glue just the inside of the next few pages just to make sure that they hold well. And then as soon as they are glued, we'll be pulling them together. And then I actually have these little clips here to hold it together. And this is absolutely not necessary if you're using a hot glue gun. It dries fast enough that you can do it with just your hands. But if you're using any other type of glue, this is what you will have to do to make sure that it holds together long enough for the glue to set. And I'm just going to be waiting for the hot glue to heat up. So let's just skip ahead to when it's heated up sufficiently. Okay, and it's heated up first, so I'm going to do that straight line I mentioned on the inside of the first few and last few pages. And then I'll do a nice coverage of the front and back page. Except it's at this point that I realized I was using a low temperature hot glue gun, and the glue was drying before I even had a chance to finish applying it all to these pages. Now, it worked fine for just a single straight line like I was doing on the other pages, but to get full coverage for both of these pages, or even just one, it was taking too long. So I'm gonna have to take this gun out and bring in a high temperature glue gun. Let's skip ahead to when that glue gun has heated up. All right, I'm spreading this glue around now, and that should be enough glue there. So I'm gonna set this to the side, and we'll just grab a few pages there and hold it together. Like I said, with just the hot glue gun, I could just use my hands to hold these pages, but if you're using any other type of craft glue, it's going to take hours for it to set properly, and what you'll want to be using is these clips like I have here, and just holding a nice little bundle of pages together there. And it's been about 2 minutes, so let's get these clips off. You can see pretty solidly attached there. And I'm just going to try and fan out these pages a little bit. The more evenly you can have your pages spread, the more impressive the resulting book fruit looks, in my opinion. Over time, they should also spread out more evenly, but I'm just trying to force it here. And it is looking pretty good, although it's a little bit tough to tell from straight above, like from this position. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the paint. Now, I've done a number of book art programs for the library in person in the past, and in those, I've always used spray paint. And to be honest, I think that's my preferred way of painting it even now. It'll color the pages all the way into the center, but I don't expect everyone to just have orange spray paint in their house. So rather than do that, I'm going to be showing you how you can just use acrylic paint like I have here, or any kind of paint you happen to have in your house. And all I'm going to be doing is just getting a brush and painting along the edges. Honestly, you don't even have to paint it. I've seen plenty of people who think the paint takes away from the look and prefer to have just the straight book art pumpkin. Let's just speed through all of this painting. Okay, and I have it painted to my satisfaction, so I'm just gonna go grab a twig that I actually just found outside from one of the trees around the library, and I'm just going to stick that right in the middle of where that spine is as our stem. And then I'm actually just going to break up a few of these pages that have been a little bit glued together by the acrylic paint. But we're just about done here. I'm going to grab my camera and I'll move to a better viewpoint so you can see how cool this pumpkin actually looks. Isn't that just a cool looking little decoration that you can make in under an hour? I think it's just perfect for the season.